Bill Gregory has come in for Jethro Pugh in the Cowboys front four. He's number 77, probably, for pass rush on 3rd and 9. Duhan. Inside the 20-yard line is Bobby Duhan.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. And before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone out there who's been watching my videos. Thank you. If you can maybe give this video a thumbs up, possibly leave a comment below, or maybe even share this video, it would mean so much to me. But at least, anyway, just thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you. Well, it's that time of the week again. You got, the injury report coming out. Guys injured, guys limited in practice, guys who didn't practice, and all. Gosh darn it, if Kadarius Toney isn't on the injury list again with another injury, a different one. Wow. Absolutely unbelievable. It really is. When we first started, he the first day or so, he had the cleat problem. Remember that? Then he had, I was on COVID 2 different times. He had the hamstring problem. Then he had an ankle problem. He had a problem with his thumb, problem with his quad, problem with an oblique. Now he's got a problem with the shoulder. 6 different injuries he's had this season. He's been in 304 snaps this year with 6 different injuries. So basically every 50 snaps, he comes up with another injury. Absolutely freaking amazing. I like Dexter Lawrence and Billy Price, Will Hernandez, right? Guys in the trenches, banging heads every freaking play. You don't see him on I haven't seen Will Hernandez on the injury report at all. Billy Price, right? Simply absolutely amazing. Jimmy Johnson, a great coach from sadly the Dallas Cowboys, said, "Injured players get injured." That's exactly what we have right here. It seems like every game he comes up with another injury. Now he did miss some time in college, a little bit of time in college. With some injuries here or there. Nothing super horrible, but he did miss some, especially his senior year. He missed a couple games. But seriously, what do you think is going to happen next year? You think all of a sudden everything's just going to be, roses and sunshines, right? And he's going to play all 17 games? Nope, absolutely not. He missed some college. In his senior year, he played in 11 games, and he had 728 snaps in 11 games. He averaged 66 snaps per game. Here, he's been in 10 games. He's been in 304 snaps. So basically, he's averaged 30 snaps a game. And he's had 6 different injuries. And actually, if you want to look at it, out of the 10 games, the first game of the year, I think against the Broncos, he had 5 snaps. All right. So that really not much of a game at all. So basically, we're down to 9 snaps, 9 games. Then against the Los Angeles Rams, he was I think he was in like 6 plays. He caught 3 passes, and then he was out for the rest of the game. So basically, 6 snaps. So that's not really even a full game. Or not even close to a full, not even a quarter, not even a drive. Yeah, right? The game against the Washington football team, I think he was in 19 snaps. So that's not even near a full. Actually, the most snaps he had in a game this season has been 50 against the Saints. All the other games he had like over 30, a little over 30. So he's playing like half games. Oh boy. Now, unfortunately, one of the things with Gettleman is, he's kind of, gambling, rolling the dice a little bit. Some of the guys he's signing have had, we drafted Azeez Ojulari. The reason why he went to number 50 has questions with the knee. Now, things might look good now, and that's not kind of the concern. Some of the concern is, over the long term, when he's in there for maybe games, years, is the problem with the knee going to maybe lengthen his career or shorten his career because he had the problem with the knee? That's one of the that was one of the biggest problems. Reason why he went from where he was supposed to be drafted at, which was probably first round, early second round, to number 50. He brought in, obviously we drafted Kadarius Toney. He had some injuries in college. Kenny signed Kenny Golladay. He's had his injuries in the past. We also got Adoree Jackson, who's had some injury concerns as well too. So sometimes you gamble with guys who are injured, and you wind up paying the price. Now I'll be the first one to admit I was jumping up and down when we signed Kenny Golladay and Adoree Jackson. What was the big? Obviously except for a pass rush, but last year, we had no pass rush. We still got 40 sacks somehow. We were like a top 10 defense last year, and we were a top 10 defense. And what was our biggest problem? Pass rush wasn't that great, but we still got 40 sacks. It was our second cornerback. So when we got Adoree Jackson, who had some problems, injury concerns, right? I was jumping up and down. I'm like, man, we got Bradbury and we got Adoree Jackson. Phew, yeah. And then when we signed Kenny Golladay, I was happy about that too. But when it comes time and the guys get hurt, with Kadarius Toney, the injury list, the guys on yesterday who did not participate. You had Saquon Barkley with his ankle. Gary Brightwell had a problem with his neck. Graham Gano had an illness. Austin Johnson had a problem with his foot. Colin Johnson had a hamstring. Raymond Johnson had an illness. Billy Price, he had a personal problem. Kyle Rudolph had a problem with his ankle. And Kadarius Toney, did not practice or participate because of his shoulder. Then you had the guys who were limited in practice. Ben Bredesen with his ankle. Keen Crossan, he's ramping up from COVID. Colin Gillespie, problem with his shin. Adoree Jackson, his quad, but he's also ramping up from COVID. And then you got John Ross, he's got a problem with his knee, and we're ramping up from COVID as well too. But if Kadarius Toney is 300 snaps into a season, he's had 6 different injuries, as I said, what do you think is going to happen next year? And the year after that, and the year after that? Simply absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Whoever the new GM is, needs to address that. Start drafting guys, obviously who are, I know Azeez is very special to look at and all that and everything, but, he's got a concern with his knee, got to start drafting guys who can, you're not going to know if they're going to be able to stay healthy, but try to get guys, free agents and draft picks and all, who don't have injury concerns, because, our team is just ravaged with injuries. Absolutely ravaged with injuries. Then there was an article I saw, an ex-Giant scout that we used to have, Steven Verderosa. He was an NFL scout for 33 years. He was with the Giants from 1998 to 2020. He got fired last year. Now he's an analyst for the Pro Football Network. And he's been doing some tweeting a little bit lately, and I guess he's trying to get his jabs in at his former employer, the Giants, and some of it's rightfully so. One thing he's saying about Kevin Abrams, he should not be the next GM. What he was saying is, Steven Verderosa, was that you want the GM, the next GM, to be somebody who maybe coached, played the game, and scouted. He said, Kevin Abrams, all he does is write contracts. But, and another thing, he talks about him writing bad contracts, like with Nate Solder, maybe like Kenny Golladay, some of these big contracts, that. Now, he's writing the contracts, but it's just not him. You know, I mean, he's coming up. He's a salary cap expert, which is great. But I mean, if there's got to be mutual, it's just not all on him. I mean, it's got to be Dave Gettleman's got to say okay. You know what I mean? It's just not him just writing the contracts and he has the final say and. No, I mean it's so that's a little misleading. All he does is write contracts, but I mean he's got a good point there. He hasn't coached, he hasn't been a scout, and he hasn't played. He's been with the Giants for a long time, Kevin Abrams, but he does have a good point there. Now, I mean, if he winds up getting put in as the new GM for the Giants. I'm not exactly sure how well it's going to wind up working out. He also talks about Steven Verderosa. He also talks about the Giants, like culture, meaning trying to build a team, right? Like especially through the draft. And he was talking about the Giants' 53-man roster. He said, we don't on the rosters. At the time he was talking about, he said there's only 20 guys on the roster that the Giants have drafted. 33 came from other teams. Now, some of it is also like Shane Lemieux. He's not on the roster because he's on injury reserve. Like we drafted him. So some guys that are not on the roster right now because they're on injury reserve, and we did draft them. But I mean, some of it is also it's like if you draft and you draft depth and you keep the depth. When you got guys that are injured, you plug other guys in there, right, to take their spot. I mean, it's like all the guys that we had, pretty much, when Shane Lemieux went down, did we plug somebody in there who we drafted? No. When Nick Gates went down, did we plug somebody in there who got drafted? No. Right? We had Nate Solder in there, we didn't draft him. So I mean, so you want to obviously draft the quality stars, but you also draft some depth too. So when the stars get hurt, like they do with the Giants, you have guys behind them, who you drafted, who you can put in there. And the Giants just don't seem to have that. He points out that there's players that drafted that the Giants drafted on other teams, like Devin Kennard and Pugh, who are on playing for Arizona right now. I said Eric Flowers, Landon Collins are with the Washington football team. Hankins is with Vegas. Eli Apple and Hill are with Cincinnati. Odell Beckham Jr. is with LA. He's pointing out all these guys that are playing for other teams, and all these other teams, they're playing for those teams, and all those other teams have far better records than the Giants do. So the Giants are drafting guys, not re-signing them, and they're going to playing on other teams that have better records. So I mean, some of that's very true, and there's also another point he picked out too, which is one thing that the Giants are very, very, very kind of famous for is like drafted Linval Joseph, second round of the 2010 draft, right? We never re-signed him. I mean, he's on the Chargers right now. They got a winning record. Then we signed Jonathan Hankins in the second round of the 2013 draft. He's on Vegas right now. He played 4 years, but we never re-signed him. And then, of course, last but not least is Dalvin Tomlinson, drafted in 2017, the second round. 4 years up, let him go, don't re-sign him. Now he's on Minnesota. So I mean, that's something the Giants do a lot, especially with the defensive tackles. They've been drafting defensive tackles like in the second round. So all the way back to like 2000 with Cornelius Griffin. He came from Alabama in 2000. He played 4 years with the Giants. We let him go. He went to at the time it was the Washington Redskins he played for. Very good defensive tackle. But we just let him go. Don't we? So he was talking about kind of like the culture. He said one thing he said is that this guy Steven Verderosa is that you build your team through the draft. You build your roster with like your first and third rounders. Those are the guys that can kind of go in there for the most part, especially the third rounders. Maybe not right away, but I mean, you should be getting the third rounder. Should be getting ready to play maybe within the first year or two or so, right? I mean, if somebody's in there, playing now, and once their contract's up, especially if it's a free agent, something, let them go and you put your third rounder in there. Well, I mean, if you go back to like 2010, we have nobody on the team. 2011, our draft, we have nobody on the team. 2012, there's nobody on our team. The draft from 2013, 14, and 15, we have nobody on the team from 2015 on back. 2016, we got Sterling Shepard, our second round pick, right? And all we didn't know what was going to happen, but he's hurt. That's all he's been doing lately is pretty much getting hurt. I love the guy to death. He can play on my team anytime, but he gets hurt a lot. Then, of course, we go to 2017, we get Evan Ingram. He's the only one left on the team. Right? After this season's up, he's going to go elsewhere. So 2017 draft, we have nobody on the team. 2016, we have one person on the team. 2018, we got Barkley, we got Hernandez, and we got Lorenzo Carter. After this season's up, probably not going to sign Will Hernandez because we're kind of cap held. We can't really afford to sign anybody. And I can't see us possibly signing Lorenzo Carter. So after this season's over with, and we let the guys go, and they sign with other people, from 2018 draft on back, we're going to have two guys on the team. From 2018 on back, two guys will be on the team, Sterling Shepard and Saquon Barkley, and also kind of what those guys have in common, they get hurt a lot. You gotta build your team through the draft, and prior to 2019, we're gonna have two guys on the team. Absolutely amazing. I did a video a couple weeks ago. I was talking about the difference between the Cowboys and the Giants is a 5-letter word, and behind that, my thumbnail there has draft, and the Cowboys draft. They draft very well. They build their team through the draft. They have a lot of guys on the team that they drafted and they've kept through the years, and they re-signed. And when they draft very, very well. And that's something the Giants have been, not doing so well at all. Now, 2019 draft, we got Julian Love. We got Oshane Ximines, who keeps being healthy scratches every week, so I don't even know if would even want to play next year. We got Daniel Jones. Right, we got Dexter Lawrence, and we got Darius Slayton. Right, 2020, we still got some guys obviously on the team, from 2020, first rounder Andrew Thomas, Xavier McKinney, the second round, Matt Parrott, who now is hurt, and then of course this year, we got Kadarius Toney, who's hurt all the time, Azeez Ojulari, who's doing very good, and Aaron Robinson, who had a core muscle, and he was injured, but he's on the field and all that, right? But, you got this guy Steven Verderosa. He's got might be some sour grapes there, because he got fired, so it's easy to give jabs at it, like Louis Riddick seems to like to do. He went for the GM job, and they gave it to Gettleman, who's not doing very well, and they didn't pick Louis Riddick, so he seems to be able to take jabs at the Giants, like when he gets chances. Like one of the stupid things he talks about is that Andrew Thomas. He said this a couple times before. He said the Giants drafted Andrew Thomas. He's the worst, one of those tackles in that draft. The worst. He didn't say the worst. He said by far he's the worst tackle in that draft. Yeah, I don't think so there, Lewis. I think you're smoking a little something there, buddy. I think a little sour grapes. So this guy, Steven Verderosa, the ex-scout who the Giants fired last year, I think it might be a little sour grapes, trying to get little jabs back at his team, when he gets a chance. And it's always easy, when the team is doing absolutely horrible. It's always easy to take jabs. But you got to admit, some of the stuff he's talking about, it makes a lot of sense. All these guys are on the other teams. The other teams have winning records, and they're playing with the Giants cast-offs. And all the Giants do is they just keep signing free agents. We have more free agents on the team than we do have guys that we drafted. And we have nobody on our team. Jerry Reese left after the 2017 draft. That was his last draft here with the Giants, right? So once we let Evan Ingram go, right, from the Jerry Reese era, there's only going to be one guy left on the team after we let Evan Ingram go. After the season's over with, there's only going to be one guy on the team from the Jerry Reese era, and that's 2016 draft, and that's Sterling Shepard, and that's really, really sad, and that's one of the biggest problems the Giants have right now. they don't draft well, and when they do draft and they draft well, they don't re-sign the guys, and that's one of the biggest problems. Hopefully, the GM who comes in sees that, the new GM sees that and fixes it and starts building quality through the draft. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo!